All of you can observe the problem. Draw the root locus for a open loop transfer function. Draw the root locus for open loop transfer function shown full stop. Also find k marginal for stability. Also find k marginal for stability. Okay. You have any doubts, you can raise your hands so that I can unmute a particular query. Okay. Now he has given an open loop transfer function g of s into h of s. From g of s into h of s, okay, you will come to know the number of poles and zeros in an open loop transfer function. The numerator term will going to give you zeros, and the denominator term will going to give you the poles. Okay, since we don't have any s terms in the numerator, we have only poles in the open loop transfer function. So first step you have to find is solution. First point you have to remember is to find number of poles and zeros. To find number of poles and zeros. So from this, P is equal to how many poles are there? Means at S is equal to 0, one pole is there. At S is equal to 3, one more pole is there. S is equal to minus 3. Number of poles is 4. How number of poles is there is equal to 4. At S is equal to 1, you have one pole. At S is equal to minus 3, you have one more pole. When you get the roots of this second order second order equation, you will going to get two roots. One is S is at minus 1.5, okay, plus J3. Other one S is equal to minus 1.5 minus J3. So you have to find the roots of the second order equation. When you find the roots of the second order equation, you will going to get the two roots like this. So location of your poles is at S is equal to 0, at S is equal to minus 3, at S is equal to minus 1.5 plus J3, and another pole is at S is equal to minus 1.5 minus J3 minus J3. This is how you will find the number of poles, and Z, number of zeros. Z is equal to 0 in the given equation. Okay. Now second step, number of root locus. The number of root locus is equal to P, because that is equal to 4, because P is greater than Z. So number of root locus is always is equal to P or Z, whichever is greater, so many root locuses you will going to get. Usually the number of root locus is equal to number of poles. For some control system which has to be built, always number of root locus is equal to number of poles. So number of root locus is equal to P, that is equal to 4. That is the second step. Okay. Next, third step. So we have found number of root locus. Number of asymptotes. Asymptotes are the guidelines for the root locus to approach infinity or 0. Okay. Always you imagine that the root locus starts from a pole, terminates at infinity, or if 0 is there, it will go to 0 and get terminated. So always you have to imagine that the root locus always starts from pole, and it moves, along with asymptotes. When asymptotes are the guidelines for the root locus to approach infinity. Got my point? Or 0. So always how this root locus will go to move, the root locus always moves along the asymptotes. Okay. So how do you get number of asymptotes? The number of asymptotes is always given by P minus Z. P minus Z. Since P is equal to 4, Z is equal to 0. So number of asymptotes you are going to get it as 4. Okay. So we found out the number of asymptotes. Next step is to find the angle of asymptotes. Angles of asymptotes. Okay. Now, how do we find the angle of asymptotes? General formula for theta is equal to 2q plus 1 divided by p minus z into 180. Where q value starts from 0, 1, or 2, so on like this. So if there are 4 asymptotes, first theta 1 value will be 0, the q value will be 0. For theta 2, q value will be 1. For theta 3, q value will be 2. And for theta 4, q value will be 3. So you have to substitute these values in order to get the angle of asymptotes for 4 asymptotes. So when you find this, theta 1 is equal to, so how do you do it? 2 into 0 plus 1 divided by 4 minus 0 into 180, not 100, it is 180. Okay, so when you calculate this, you'll go to get 180 divided by 4, that is equal to 45 degrees. Same way, when you find out theta 2 is equal to 2 into 1 plus 1 divided by 4 into 180. When you calculate this, okay, you'll go to get theta 2 as is equal to 135 degrees. Correct. You'll get it as 135 degrees. 135 degrees. What is theta 4? Theta 4, again, you'll go to substitute the value of q as 2. When you calculate theta 3, you'll going to get it as 225 degrees. Same way, theta 4 is equal to 315 degrees. Okay, we have found out theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, and theta 4. That's the 4 angles for the 4 asymptotes that you have. Next, fifth step is to find, okay, the centroid. Centroid is the center point from which these asymptotes are drawn. These 4 asymptotes are drawn with a center point as centroid. Okay, so how do we get the centroid point? So sigma is equal to summation of real poles minus summation of real zeros divided by p minus z. So it is summation of real poles minus summation of real zeros divided by p minus z. Okay. Now what is summation of real poles means? You have a poles location. One pole is at 0, another pole is at -3, and another pole is at s is equal to minus 1.5 plus j3. So only we'll take real part in that complex term while substituting in summation. So when you substitute all the real terms, 0 minus 3 minus 1.5 minus 1.5, since there are no zeros, zeros will be 0, divided by p minus that is 4 minus 0. When you calculate this, you're going to get sigma as, that is 6 by 4 as minus 1.5. So 1.5 is the centroid point for asymptotes. Okay, we have found out. So these are the steps you have to follow while solving the root locus. It's the initial steps that you have to follow while drawing the root locus. Now we'll see. First, we'll find out the breakaway point, and we'll have a little idea how to draw a root locus. Then we'll proceed. Okay. Next step. Breakaway point. Sixth point is to find breakaway point. For breakaway point, you have to go for a characteristic equation, and from the characteristic equation, you have to find dk divided by ds and equate it to 0. Consider characteristic equation and equate dk divided by ds is equal to 0. We have an open loop transfer function. From the open loop transfer function, that is g of s into h of s is equal to k divided by s into s plus 3 into s squared plus 3s plus 11.25. When you find the characteristic equation for this, when you simplify this characteristic equation, I'm going to get it as s to the power of 4 plus 6 s cube plus 20.25 s squared plus 33.75 s plus k is equal to 0. All of you can try check this value. That is, when you simplify the characteristic equation, so this is what the equation that you're going to get: s to the power of 4 plus 6 s cubed plus 20.25 s squared plus 33.75 s plus k is equal to 0. Okay, try this. So once you have this characteristic equation, you find out what is dk divided by ds. For finding dk divided by ds, I'll take k is equal to minus s to the power of 4 minus 4s cube, okay, minus 20.25 s squared minus 33.75 s. Okay, when you differentiate this with respect to s, you'll get dk divided by ds, and this must be equated to 0. Minus 4s cube, okay, minus 12s squared minus 40.5 s minus 33.75. And this one you must equate it to 0. This must be equal to 0. Okay. Now we have a third order or equation in which 12s squared plus 40.5 s plus 33.75 s is equal to 0. This is what the equation you got. Okay. Now you find the roots of this third order equation. When you find the roots, you will going to get 3 roots, because it's to the third order system, we're going to have 3 roots. So finding roots for this will going to yield you s value as s is equal to minus 1.5, one s value, another s value is equal to minus 1.5 plus j 1.878371, another s value as s is equal to minus 1.5 minus j 1.837. Okay, these are the 3 s values you got. Okay, once you get this, so whether these are all breakaway points or not, in order to conclude this, what you have to do is you have to substitute the value of s in equation k. So substitute s value in k equation to check to check the breakaway point. Means when you substitute S value in K equation, if you get K as positive, then that will be in a breakaway point. If you get it as negative, then that will not be in a breakaway point. So for that, I'll just give an hint how to find the value of K. So substitute K value, find out K value in the first case by substituting S is equal to minus 1.5, minus 1.5 to the power of 4. Okay. Next, minus 4 into minus 1.5 to the power of 3. Okay. Minus 40.5 into minus 1.5. Not that one, sorry. That is minus 1.5 to the power of 4, 4 into S to the power of, so that is, this magnitude is 20.25. 20.25 into minus 1.5 whole square. Okay. Same way, minus 33.75 into minus 1.5. When you calculate this K value, you see how much you are going to get. If you get it as positive, if you get K value as positive, then it is in a breakaway point. Otherwise, it is not a breakaway point. Okay. Since when you calculate this, you are going to get K value as plus 20.25. So that S is equal to minus 1.5 is a breakaway point. The breakaway point. I think you understood. Yeah.
Tell me,
Poonam, what is the doubt?
So instead of 6 for characteristic equation, it is minus 6x cube. You have taken 4s cube, sir. So the entire value will change, no?
Yeah.
మొబైల్ అంగల్లోనే యాడేస్తారు నాకేం తెలుసు యాడ మొబైల్ అంగల్లోనే వేసేది నిన్నేమో తీయండ్రా బిర్న్ పొద్దున్న బిర్న్ వస్తే తీయంటారు అని లెక్క.
Only one step it has gone wrong. The next step I have taken it as 12 itself. Okay. Now you find out K value. There I have written wrong, but it's been got corrected in the next step. You got K value as, I think your query is solved. K is equal to 20.25. You will going to get when S is equal to minus 1.5. Okay. Now next, to check when you have a complex term, you can still do it by substituting the value, but it takes little longer time to check the value of K. Otherwise, you can use the angle condition. So angle means angle of G of S into H of S is equal to plus or minus 2Q plus 1 into 180 degrees. Okay. So for this, you have to substitute the value of Q as 0, 1, 2, like that. So instead of that, what you can do is directly you can put the value of S value. Okay. I'll just show you one example. K is equal to you have s to the power of 4 minus, okay, what is the value of s? You have minus 1.5 plus j 1.8371. Okay, you just multiply this by 4 times into like this, instead of you know how to do it in the calculator. So first you 10 to the power of s to the power of 4 term, you multiply it 4 times and put the answer, and next term also you calculate like that and find out the value of k. So you need not to go for new procedure. For angle conditions you need not to go. So s to the power of 4 term, how do you do it? So I can do it like this, minus 1.5 plus j 1.8371 into minus 1.5 plus j 1.8371 into minus 1.5 plus j 1.8371. Like this, you 4 times you multiply and you just put the answer there for the first term. Okay, and see what you will going to get, you put there. Next, same way the next term, same way the next term. Like that, if you calculate, you will get the value of k. When you find the value of k, you will going to get the value of k is 31.6393. Again, you got the positive value. Okay, so which indicates that this is also in a breakaway point. Since value of k is positive, then we conclude that this is also in a breakaway point. Even for the other k value, when you substitute k, so s is equal to minus 1.5 minus j 1.837. Again, you can see that it is 31.6393. So which both are breakaway points. So all the 3 s values are break away points. All the 3 s values are breakaway points. Got my point? So this is how we'll want to find out the breakaway point. Now we roughly will go to sketch the root locus. Okay, then we'll see whether how to proceed with the next terms. For this, you draw the graph. You draw the s plane first on your plane sheet. Okay, this is imaginary axis, j omega axis. This is sigma axis. Okay, this is real axis and this is imaginary axis. In this, you indicate the values as 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. This is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. This is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Right hand side plus 1. We are just creating the graph to draw the root locus. Okay. Now after rough sketching the S plane, you just indicate where are the poles are located. The poles are located at s is equal to 0. We locate the pole by putting a cross mark at a particular s position. So we have put an pole at 0, and we have one more pole at s is equal to minus 3. S is equal to minus 3. We have one more pole, and one more pole is at s is equal to minus 1.5 plus j1. Where is the location of that pole? We can see one is minus 1.5 plus j1 plus j3. So come real axis minus 1.5, okay, plus j1.3. Next, bottom. So these are the 4 poles that we have located roughly. Now locate the centroid point. Centroid point sigma is at minus 1.5. I located that. This is sigma is equal to minus 1.5. Now from this centroid, you draw 4 asymptotes, angling at 45, 135, 225 and 315 degrees. So when you draw the asymptotes, roughly, you'll get it like this. This is the initial root locus part that I have drawn. I think all of you understood. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hand. I located 4 poles at p is equal to 0, at p is equal to -3, at one pole is at minus 1.5 plus J3, and another pole is at minus 1.5 minus J3. These are the 4 poles I have located. Now you must know how this, root locus will go to move. Always remember, the root locus moves in such a direction that there are odd number of poles and zeros to the right side of its movement. To the right side of its movement, only odd number of poles and zeros should be there. So for this, each pole will have one root locus. So one root locus will going to start from each of these poles. So I'll start with this. This pole will have one root locus. How it will move? It will move on the real axis. It will going to move on the real axis. It will going to move to the left. Why it cannot move to the right? If it moves to the right, what happens? There is no poles and zeros. Okay. So when it moves to the left, only one pole is there to the right of its movement, like this. Okay. It can move only to the left. One more root locus starts from -3. It cannot move towards left. Why? Because when it moves to the left, how many poles and zeros to the right of its movement? The number of poles to the right of its movement is always 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. So it cannot move in such a direction where there are even number of poles and zeros. So it has to move to the right only. It has to move to the right only. So it will going to move like this. When it moves to the right, how many poles and zeros to the right of its movement? So it is 3. 1, 2, and 3. So one root locus will move towards right, one root locus will move towards left, and both will going to meet at minus 1.5, because we have found out what is the breakaway point. First breakaway point, you will going to get it as minus 1.5. At minus 1.5, it will go to break away. This root locus, one root locus will break away, one towards upwards, another one towards downwards, because root locus always moves symmetrical about the real axis. It always moves symmetrical to the real axis. This is the initial graph. One is moving upwards, another moving downwards. Okay. This is the initial sketch. Now, since you are having a complex pole, you have to find the angle of departure. Since your complex pole is there, at what angle the root locus will go to leave the complex pole that you have to find. That is the next step, is called angle of departure. Called next step number 7, angle of departure. Okay. What is that? Phi D? Phi D formula is 180 minus summation of phi P minus summation of phi Z. This is a general formula for angle of departure, phi D. How do you find phi P? Summation of phi P. This is a very interesting one. You have to suppose you take in this complex pole. You have to draw imaginary lines from other poles to join this complex pole with imaginary lines like this. You draw imaginary lines from the other poles to this complex pole. Okay. And find out the angle made by this imaginary line with respect to positive real axis. Like this. This is, I can call it as phi D1, phi P1. This angle is phi P2, and this angle is phi P3. The imaginary line making an angle with real axis you have to find. That is the phi P value. Got my point? So how do you get it? How do you get 5p1? 5p1 you can get it as you go for this. Find out theta from this. Here you find out theta. What is this theta? I'll go for tan theta. Tan theta is equal to opposite by adjacent. Opposite, how much is the length from real axis to the complex pole is 3. Opposite side is 3. Okay. And at the adjacent side, from origin to this complex pole, what is the distance? It is 1.5. You take only magnitude, don't take the sign. 1.5. So when you find out theta, theta is equal to tan inverse 3 by 1.5. You will get theta value. Okay. How much theta value? So theta value is going to get it as 63.43. 63.43. How do we get this 5p1? 5p1 is equal to 180 minus theta. If you do, you're going to get 5p1. How it is 180 minus? I want angle from real axis to the imaginary line. This angle, if this is total 180, from 180, if you remove this theta value, you're going to get 5p1. Got it? So you get me 5p1. 5p1 is equal to 180 minus 63.43. You're going to get 5p1 as 116.56. Directly you can read that what is 5p2. 5p2 with respect to real axis is 90 degrees. Imaginary line making angle with the real axis is 90 degrees. What is 5p3? 5p3 is equal to, you go for 5p3 directly, opposite by, adjacent. Tan, you will go for tan. 5p3 is equal to 3 by 1.5. What is 5p3? 5p3 is equal to 63.46. 5p3 is equal to 63.46. When you substitute all these values, okay, in the equation, that is 5d is equal to 180 minus, we have 5p1 plus 5p2 plus 5p3. When you add all the three angles, okay, you will get 5d is equal to minus 90 degrees. Once you have found out the angle of departure for one complex pole, the angle of departure for the other complex pole will be conjugate. That is, not 5d dash is equal to minus 5d. That will be just opposite to the angle that you have found already. So you will take in a negative sign for that. So 5d dash is equal to minus 5d. That will be plus 90 degrees. Okay. Now, earlier we used to discuss what angle with which it will going to leave this complex from root locus leave from the complex pole is, it is minus 90 degrees with respect to real axis. Minus 90 degrees, it will going to leave one root locus. Okay. This is plus 90 degrees from which one root locus will going to leave. Okay. And both will going to meet, both the root locuses will going to meet at a particular, they will going to depart or break away. What is that breakaway point that you will going to got from the breakaway point? That is s is equal to minus 1.5, that already we got it. Another one is s is equal to minus 1.5 plus 1.837j. 1.837j somewhere here. From here, the root locus symmetrically, part away along the asymptotes, like this, like this. They always symmetrical about the real and what do you call it as asymptotes. One root locus will move along with this asymptote. Another root locus will going to move along this asymptote. Asymptotes are the guidelines for the root locus to approach infinity. So that's why they always move all along the asymptotes. So when you can see on the right hand side, the root locus has to cross the imaginary axis. It has to cross the imaginary axis. Okay. So you have to find the root locus crossing the imaginary axis. This is the next step. Okay. So root locus is step number 8, to find the root locus crossing the imaginary axis. And even same way you can continue in the down place also. So it is going to break away at 1.83 minus 1.83. It will going to move away like this all along the asymptotes. So this root locus will be moving all along this asymptote like this. And at this one, you'll also moving all along the asymptote. At what point it will going to cross, that you have to find. Okay, that is your eighth step. Next, 8th step is root locus crossing imaginary axis. Okay. So for this, you have to take the characteristic equation to find root locus crossing the imaginary axis. Again, we go to the characteristic equation. Consider characteristic equation. What is the characteristic equation we got? S to the power of 4 plus 6 s cube plus 20.25 s squared plus 33.75 s plus k is equal to 0. Okay. This is the characteristic equation we already got. From this characteristic equation, we'll try to find out the root locus crossing the imaginary axis. How do you go about this? You have to go draw the roots array. Draw the roots array for this. S to the power of 4, s cube, s squared, s to the power of 1, s to the power of 0. You fill up the first two rows with the coefficients of characteristic equation 1, 6, 20.25. Then we have 33.75 and k. Complete the roots array. This into this. So this into this. This into this minus this into this minus this into this divided by this. When you do that, you will going to get this value as 14.625. And here it will be k. When you multiply this two and this two and divide by this, you can write it as 493.59 minus 6k divided by 14.625. Second element will be 0. The last element will be k. We have completed the roots array. After completing the roots array, we'll find k marginal. The value of k when it is crossing the imaginary axis, that is marginal value of k. Consider s to the power of 1 row. In that, I can write 4 93.59 minus 6K divided by 14.625 is equal to 0. Take this as is equal to 0. And find out what is K marginal. This is, when you equate it to 0, it will become K marginal. Therefore, K marginal is equal to, you will get it as 82.265. You will get K marginal value as 82.265 is the value of K when it is crossing the imaginary axis. Now we have considered s to the power of 1 rho. Take an auxiliary equation above this. Consider auxiliary equation. What is E of S? E of S is equal to, just above this row is auxiliary, consider auxiliary equation at S squared rho. E of S is equal to, what is that? 14.625 S squared, okay, plus K. And equate it to 0. Substitute K is equal to K marginal and find out S value. Yes, you will going to get it as K marginal means you already got K marginal as 82.265. Substitute 82.265, and when you find out S value, you will go to get as plus or minus J 2.37. 2.37. This is the value of S at which the root locus will go to cross the imaginary axis. Okay, now we have the complete root locus to draw. I'll just show you how to draw the complete root locus. Okay, you take it, again create the graph. Since you can do it in the ordinary sheet, but you have to redraw it on the graph sheet in the exam. But since he has not asked anything to find out from the root locus, you need not to go exactly, because all from calculations only we are getting all the readings. Okay, so this is not required to draw a graph. You have to use the original graph until unless he has asked to find out something from the value of say K. If he is asked to find, then you have to draw the, what do you call it as, graph. On the graph sheet you have to draw with the specific points. This is -1, -2, -3, -4, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, j omega axis, sigma axis, -1, -2, -3, -4. Earlier we have located the poles as at 0, and one is at -3, one is at -1.5 plus J3, -1.5 plus minus J3. We know that root locus will going to move like this to the left, one root locus to the right. Okay, and they will, this is the centroid. From centroid we're going to draw a 45-degree angle. Okay, another one is 135. Like this. Now this both will go into break away at -1.5. One moves upwards, another moves downwards, because root locus always moves symmetrically about the real axis, and also it moves symmetrically along the asymptotes. Okay, now one more, we know that angle of departure for this as -90 degrees. One more angle of departure for this is plus 90 degrees. Okay, both will go on to meet and depart again at 1.875. They will going to join, and 1.875 they will going to depart again. One moves like this all along the asymptote. Okay, like this, and one more will going to move along this asymptote. At what point it is crossing the imaginary axis? At 2.37. At 2.37, it is crossing all along. It will go on to move to the infinity at this point. So 1.23. So what is the value of K marginal? K marginal at this point is 82.26. 82.26. Here also it is K marginal is 82.26, and S value is J omega axis. Omega is equal to 2.37 at point which it is minus omega is minus 2.37. This is a complete root locus. Okay. So what you have to remember, while drawing the root locus, the doubts that you will going to get is how the root locus will going to move. The root locus always, moves in such a direction that the number of poles and zeros to the right side of this root locus is always an odd number. It should be odd number. If there is even number, the root locus will not going to move in that direction. So when you just put a point and see if to that point right side, if there is an odd number of poles and zeros, then the root locus will going to move in that direction. If there are even numbers to the right of that point, then the root locus will not going to move in that particular direction. That's the point you have to remember while drawing the root locus. Okay. Now we'll take any doubts in this problem? Any doubts, you can raise your hand. This is the complete root locus. Okay. Now we'll take one more example on a specific problem. Okay, in which how do you find or see that root locus forms a circle? Sometimes they'll ask you to show that the root locus forms a circle. Take down. Find the open loop for the open loop transfer function shown. Draw the root locus for the open loop transfer function shown. Draw the root locus and show that the part of the root locus is a circle. And show that the part of the root locus is a circle. Part of the root locus is a circle. I'll go through the points first because the points quite simple there. Solution. First step, number of poles and zeros. P is equal to 2 and Z is equal to 1. Correct. P is equal to 2 and Z is equal to 1. Where this P is located, number of poles. At S is equal to 0, we have 1 pole, and S is equal to -1, we are having 1 more pole. Where you are having 0, S is equal to -2, you are having 1, 0. Numerator term will going to yield 0, and denominator term, S term will going to yield you poles. Okay. This is where we located the number of poles and zeros. So always, what is the next step? Number of root locus. Number of root locus. Number of root locus is equal to P. that is equal to 2. Okay, since P is greater than Z. P is greater than Z. Next, third point, number of asymptotes. Number of asymptotes is equal to P minus Z, that is equal to 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. Well, you have only one asymptote for this. So how do you get angle of asymptote? Angle of asymptote. Angle of asymptote is equal to theta, only one value, theta 1 is equal to 2q, 2 into 0 plus 1 divided by P minus Z, or I'll write the formula, 2q plus 1 divided by P minus Z into 180. So this is theta value. Theta 1 is equal to 2 into 0 plus 1 divided by 2 minus 1 into 180. That is equal to 180 degrees. That is one asymptote angle. Next, breakaway point. Breakaway point. You have to get dk divided by ds is equal to 0 from characteristic equation. Okay. Get the characteristic equation, that is 1 plus k into s plus 2 divided by s into s plus 1 is equal to 0. Now tell me, what's the magnitude? S squared plus s plus k into s plus 2k is equal to 0. Or s squared plus 1 plus k into s plus 2k is equal to 0. Differentiate this with respect to k and equate it to 0 and get me the values of s. Or 1 minute, I can do like this. Instead of simplifying like this, I can write it as k is equal to minus s squared plus s divided by s plus 2. Now you can differentiate this with respect to s and equate it to 0. dk divided by ds is equal to 0. Get me this values. Tell me what is the value of, and differentiate this. After differentiating, you give me the simplified equation. Yeah. Jay, you are there? Differentiate this with respect to s and equate it to 0 and give me the equation for, and tell me the values of s. Make it fast.
Sir, S is equal to minus 0.58 minus 3.414.
S is equal to
Minus 0.58
0.58 and
minus
S is
3.414.
minus 3.414.
414.
When you substitute this S value in K equation, you see whether you will get positive values for K. Substitute this S value in K equation and see whether you will get a value of K as positive or not. Yeah, I think you will get both are positive values. Did you find the value of K? Just have to substitute S value in K equation as minus 1.58 once and S is equal to minus 3.414 another time. Did you get the value of K?
Sir, for S is equal to minus 0.58, K is equal to 0.171.
171. It's positive, right?
Yes, sir.
Then it is a breakaway point. Next one.
5.828.
5.828.
828.
So both are breakaway points. Both S values are valid breakaway points. Correct? Now we can draw the root locus. Okay. Well, no other steps are required. I'll tell you why you don't require any other steps for this problem. Okay. How it is? You start with a rough root locus for this. Okay. Create the graph. This is sigma axis. This is j omega axis. J omega axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is your centroid point? You got centroid point. Where it is centroid point? I have not found out the centroid. Find out centroid. Not found, you find out centroid. Sigma is equal to summation of real poles minus summation of real zeros divided by P minus Z. Summation of real poles is one is at 0, other one is at minus 1. This is minus of where is 0? Minus 2 divided by 2 minus 1. So it will be plus 1 is your centroid point. From here, you know that we got the asymptote as at 180 degrees. So it will be on negative y-axis. From centroid point, you will going to have like this. Locate the poles and zeros. 0, 1, 0 is located at 2. Correct now? 1, 0. How do you locate the 0? By putting a circle, small circle at minus 2. Minus 2, 1, minus 3 like this. One pole is at 0, another pole is at minus 1. Okay. Yeah, wrong. Got my point? Now we have one root locus will start from this pole. It moves to the left side direction because right side only one pole is there. Even from this pole it has to move to the right side because only one pole is there to the right side of this. So they will break away at point 1 minus 5.8, 0.58. 0.58 you will have a breakaway point. And then symmetrically they break away about the real axis like this. Another one is a break-in point. What is that break-in point? Exists at minus 3.414. So they will converge. They will converge at minus 3.414 somewhere here. They will converge here like this. Root locus will converge like. Again they will break away. One root locus will terminate at 0. Okay. Another root locus will move to infinity along one asymptote. Okay. One root locus is terminating at 0. Another root locus is going towards minus infinity all along the asymptote. You know that root locus always, moves along the asymptote. One root locus will move to minus infinity. Another root locus will move to 0. So one is terminating at 0. Another one is terminating at minus infinity. This is the complete root locus. Okay. Any doubts in this? Now, how to show that part of this root locus will form a circle? For this, you have to go for angle condition. Angle of g of s into h of s is equal to 180 degrees. This is the angle condition. Okay. This is the angle condition. Using angle condition, you have to show that the part of the root locus forms a circle. Now, in order to proceed with this, what you have to do is you have to substitute s is equal to sigma plus j omega in open loop transfer function. Open loop transfer function means we have g of s and h of s equation, right? In that, what you have to do is k you can neglect it because we aren't only the angles. So wherever you have s, you substitute sigma plus j omega. When you substitute sigma plus j omega, k is nothing but 1, and k is equal to 1. 1 into sigma plus j omega plus 2 divided by sigma plus j omega into sigma plus j omega plus 1. And this angles you have to find for this is equal to 180 degrees. Angle of this. How do you get the angle? Numerator term tan inverse of imaginary divided by real you have to do always. Imaginary is nothing but omega. Real is nothing but sigma plus 2 in the numerator. Okay. In the denominator you are having two angles. When you multiply angle, it will become plus. Okay. So we have in the denominator tan inverse of. Okay. Or you can take this denominator term to the numerator, tan inverse, when you are going for angle, tan inverse of omega divided by sigma plus 2 minus tan inverse of omega divided by sigma for the first second term, and the next real and imaginary is minus tan inverse of, okay, imaginary is omega divided by sigma plus 1, and this must be equated to 180 degrees. You got my point? How to find the angles? So in order to, find the angle of open loop transfer function, numerator term will be imaginary, the tan inverse of imaginary divided by real. Denominator term, if you take it to the numerator, it will become minus tan inverse of imaginary divided by real, minus tan inverse of imaginary divided by real I have done, and this must be equated to 180 degrees. Now you can simplify this using tan A minus tan B formula, first two terms. Then again you go for tan A minus tan B formula, so that you will go to get one equation. Okay, simplify that. I think it is getting late for the next class. You can simplify this and give me that equation. That equation will looks like an equation of the circle with the center as centroid point, and radius of this is from a centroid to the breakaway point. That will be the radius of the circle. That points you will going to get from this when you simplify this. How do you simplify this equation? Go for tan A minus tan B, first two terms. You will get a simplified equation. Again go for tan A minus tan B, and finally you equate the tan, you send it to the right hand side. So when you send the tan to the right hand side, tan inverse to right hand side, it will be tan 180 degrees. Tan 180 degrees is 0. So you will get one equation for this. And that equation is in the form of a circle. Equation will be in the form of a circle. That's how we can show that the given open loop transfer function forms an. Fine. I think you will go to complete this. Any queries? Any doubts you have, you can discuss.
No, sir.
Hope you understood how to simplify this equation, tan A minus tan B. What is tan A minus tan B formula? Tan inverse of A minus B divided by 1 plus A plus B, 1 plus A into B. Use that formula, simplify this first two terms. Again, that you simplify again tan A minus B formula. You will get, and tan inverse, you send it to the right hand side. Right hand side will become 0, and you will get one equation. That equation will be in the form of a circle. Okay. I think we can conclude the meeting. Okay then. Next class we'll be discussing Bode plots revision. After that I will do PID controllers and also lag and lead networks. Okay.